Tyrone Bowman live. Welcome to the program. Welcome to the conversation. Well, it has finally happened. This is according to the Philadelphia Inquirer. This long-time Montco dive bar has finally banned smoking. It's time for us to make a change, quote, close quote, said Bucket's managing partner. The bar joins many Pennsylvania dive bars that have given up their grandfathered-in smoking status. So here it is. When a massive fire at Abington's SPS Technologies sent smoke billowing over the township last month, several bars and restaurants in the shelter-in-place radius closed. But one stalled remained open, Bucket's Tavern, Jenkintown's long-standing dive bar, where last call is at 1:45 a.m., 7 nights a week, and Miller High Life is $3 all day, every day. Let me adjust my lighting here, and I'll go back to this article. Bear with me. Getting it together, it's going to get better real quickly. Anyone familiar with Buckets probably didn't bat an eye at the bar's decision to stay open. It's one of the area's few remaining smoking bars, so its regulars are accustomed to some haze. As of this weekend, that's no longer the case. For the first time in its 54-year tenure and 17 years after the institution of Pennsylvania's Clean Indoor Air Act, Buckets has gone smoke-free. The West Avenue bar closed last week to install a new ceiling and spruce up the place with fresh paint, tables, and chairs. It reopened March 1st. It's just time, owner Joe Bowman said. We have people come in our bar, turn right around, and walk out. Bucket's managing partner, Matthew Martin, said that while the tavern's employees were excited for the switch, they approached the move pragmatically with their most loyal customers. We care about our regulars and we discussed it with them, but we let them know it's time for us to make the change. Martin said, we feel that they'll be back. They'll just go outside and smoke like they do everywhere else. It's ultimately a business decision. There's more non-smokers than smokers. It's a percentage, Brahman said. Kids today, they didn't grow up with the smoke. Their parents didn't even smoke. As of last year, just 11% of U.S. Adults smoke, according to a Gallup poll, the lowest since the firm began surveying cigarette use in 1944 for adults 18 to 29. That number dropped to 6%. A cash-only bar, Bucket stands out among the more polished newcomers that have sprung up in Jenkintown. There's the Keep Easy, specializing in craft cocktails and mead. Human robots serving up some of the city's best IPAs and lagers, along with excellent Mexican food from Jane's Beard-nominated Chief Dionisio Jimenez. And pairing pizza with classic cocktails, craft beer, and affordably priced wine, compared to low-key local watering holes like the Drake Tavern and King's Corner. Buckets feels more weathered. Its food and drink menu slimmer. Indeed, Buckets was able to remain a smoking bar for so long because food accounted for less than 20% of its sales. Because of Bucket's late hours, the kitchens open till midnight, 12:30 a.m. on weekends. It has a following among hospitality workers who want to get a drink after their shifts, but some fellow bartenders' businesses had started to taper off. They cited the lingering smoke, which was pervasive even if no one is in the bar, was lighting up. As they get older, they said, they can't tolerate it as much, Martin said. Buckets was the first place Brahman, who is 73, had a drink when he turned 21 or 18, whatever it was back then, he said. Back then, the bar at 1810 West Avenue was the Yorkshire House. They had the best roast beef sandwiches in Montgomery County. They had ham and beef. They sliced right behind the bar. People would come in for the ham and the beef sandwiches, couple of beers, and off they'd go, he remembered. Back to work in those days, Martin laughed. Johnny Martin, in relation to Matthew, bought the bar and renamed it Buckets in 1971. And as Berman recalls, it was an immediate success. Johnny Martin, on a weekly basis, he'd pump more draft beer out than any bar in Montgomery County. Berman said people were hanging out the door. Buckets attract a student crowd from nearby colleges, like Penn State Ogontz, Beaver College, now Arcadia University, and Temple Ambler. Buckets was briefly featured in an episode of the Goldbergs, whose creator Adam F. Goldberg grew up in Jenkintown, like Brahman and Martin. He was going to do a whole episode about what they tried to when they tried to sneak into Buckets when they were 18. Brahman said. Brahman and Matthew Martin took over the bar in 2004. Brahman also owned Hollywood Tavern near Rockledge until last year. Smoking is still permitted there. Martin, who is 55, Martin, who is 55, started smoking at Buckets in the 1990s. Back when the premium cable channel Prism, I remember Prism, still had a lock on broadcasting many area sports games. There was no cable in the city. Comcast wasn't there. So it was busy almost every night because everybody would come up to the suburbs to watch the Phillies, Flyers, and Sixers games. Martin remembers, every night was a good night. But that's long since been the case. And it's weighed on Brahman at times. This is my parking lot out back, and it's packed on Friday and Saturday night, and Buckets is empty. They're at a movie. They're at 211. They're at Drake. They're every place but Buckets. He said, referring to the Highway Theater and the former 2011 York, which is now New Bolds. Going down smoking is the first step toward amending that. The small crowd of Buckets on Sunday afternoon seemed to be enjoying the freshly painted digs. They nursed beers and mixed drinks as they gathered around the L-shaped bar to watch spring training. Everyone cheered, and the bartender rang a bell suspended high above the bar when the Phils scored. The air was clear. Many tacos made a wonderful mid-afternoon snack. Martin reported a steady turnout throughout reopening day. Only 2 people walked in and walked out because they forgot the rules, he laughed. Everybody was happy. There was no smell. And listened and complimented how well the place looked. People stayed longer. Tyrone Bowman, never surrender, never quit.